This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
And for only 99 cents a day, you too can sponsor a Bears fan.
Come on, shit breath. Pedals on the right, fuckhead.
And with that, good evening and welcome to Halas.
I didn't know the commercial was up yet. Sorry.
What a way for Woody to introduce us all to the show today. So, hey, we've got Halas. We've got, believe it or not, the producers in the house, Mike the Bears fan. Woody, who doesn't, unless he's on the road, it seems. And, of course, the Broski with the mosty. Yeah, the Broski with the mosty. Yeah, whatever.
Wow. Got that?
I know, right? Tongue twister. So, so I had a poll about what guys wanted to see in the show, and overwhelmingly one, they wanted to hear about the draft. But Broski goes, but wait, there's more. Broski has something for us today, don't you, Broski?
I do. So there's many channels I frequent, and channels of content creators of other teams. So I've been in Charlotte for a while, so I do go on Panthers channels. And one guy was kind enough he was doing mock drafts for the Panthers on a live stream. And I was like, do one for the Bears. Pretend you're the Bears draft. He's like, Broski for you? Absolutely. And he went through the Bears roster first, which I didn't expect him to do. He's pulling up the depth charts. He's looking. He's like, yeah, let me double check to see what you guys need. He's going through the list. He's like, oh, you need one of these. Oh, you need this position big time. So he went through. With the number 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft, according to him, he selected Malachi Stark, safety. He thought that was a glaring need. Round 2, he went linebacker and defensive end, which honestly, it's like when people say, what do the Bears need? I'm always like safety, and I say D end or linebacker second, and then I say wide receiver. Literally his first 4 picks, Malachi Starks, Demetrius Knight, the linebacker from South Carolina, Landon Jackson, the D end from Arkansas, and Jalen Noel, the wide receiver from Iowa State, were his first 4 choices. And he actually drafted Malachi Moore from Alabama in the 7th round, the safety from Alabama. Tight end, Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame, and a running back from South Carolina. Basically, literally all the positions I'm like saying this is what the Bears need. He completely on his own, doing his own research, that's what he came up with. So I thought that was interesting. And I'm curious to see how this draft plays out, because I'm completely in the dark. Like, I have no feel for what the Bears are going to do.
I mean, that's the great thing about this draft, though, because, look, like I said, we said Sunday, we said on the morning show, about a month ago, it's got to be O-line. It's got to be O-line. We got to take the O-line at 10. The first 3 picks have to be O-line and D-line only. That's what we were saying before free agency. All of us in concert. Yep, it's got to be this. Trades happen, free agency starts. Now, Broski, you're like, I'm in the dark. We're like, is it best available? Is it a tight end? You got a ton of people on X who are just all over a certain running back, Genty. They think he's God's gift
Fuck
to the
'em.
planet, and we're dumb if we don't draft him at 10. This is very Swift. There are a lot of people making that case, like, oh, well, Swift is garbage. He's gone. We won't draft the tight end. We just gave him the bag. It's like, well, we just gave Swift the bag in running back money. So same argument. I mean, their arguments kind of contradict themselves a lot, but their argument, Swift isn't good. Ben doesn't like him. Okay, but Swift had over 900 yards on a bad O-line and was healthy all year. Things can change between 3 years ago and now.
Oh yeah, and Swift's a good player. It's just, is he really like a lead running back? And then you also have to look at it like, yeah, he signed a 3-year deal, but it's essentially a 2-year deal with the guaranteed money. So, if the Bears can get out of his contract after the season if they feel like it. So that plays into it too. And just looking at the history of Ben, he's very particular about his running backs. Like, dude, he shocked the world when he took Gibbs at 12, right? And that was the second running back taken in that draft.
And free agent, be a free agent at the end of the year. Not to cut you off, but let's go full bore on it, right?
And your audio cut.
Yeah, it's the internet. We could get rid of Kmet and Swift at the end of the year if you think about it.
Oh, hey, I'll tell you what. Swift, Kmet, and Tremaine Edmonds. I don't think any of those guys are going to be on the team in 2026.
What do you think, Woody?
Why? I just want to know why people don't think Kmet's good enough to be on this team next year.
I love Cole Kmet.
I mean, he wasn't. Like when Justin Fields was there, you can't blame him. He wasn't. He was used wrong. I mean, and last year he started, a little bit slow, but then he, picked back up. But I don't. We get a right system and offensive line and stuff like that, and Kmet will be part of this offense. I just don't know why people don't think Kmet might not be on the team next year because of his rookie contract being up. I mean, I just want to know the reason why people don't like Kmet on this team.
I don't think it's that we don't like Kmet. I mean, I think we all agree Kmet has been underutilized and is a stud.
Oh yeah.
We extended him. Bulls just extended him to a nice contract, very nice contract for him, considering how underutilized he's been. That tells you Bulls kind of believes in him. But at the same time, hello, Sarah. At the same time, let's say you draft Warren, and Warren's a stud. Now you can cut Kmet at the end of the year and save a ton of money if you're not going to go with 2 tight ends, like that kind of 2 tight ends. I would love to see like Warren and Kmet together for the next 3 years. Sounds pretty appealing, actually.
Sounds awesome.
Because you figure you got at least Roman DJ for the next 4. You'd have Kmet and Warren for the next 3 seasons. That's when Kmet's up. You'd have Swift for the next 2, in theory. You got Caleb for the next 4. I mean, you're pretty good at the skill position for a nice window, a nice run.
Yeah, I just don't want the Bears to not get a tight end this year or a mediocre one in the draft and then cutting Kmet, and then we're all starting all over again with tight ends. If Warren's there at 10, you fucking do it. Plain and simple.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's another piece that the thing I found interesting about that draft, Broski, did he not draft a single O lineman in that draft, did he?
Not a single one.
And see, that's a mistake, I think, because while we did improve the O line, starter-wise, what do we have for backup? I mean, it's a little thin. I mean, and we still haven't re-signed Pryor, which is just amazing to me considering how well he played in a reserve role last year and how inexpensive he is. he's not even a $2 million guy. He's cheap, and he's good. He's a good backup. He probably could.
Well, the only good thing about that is no one else has picked him up yet, which is kind of a surprise as well. You know, like he's a good like fringe starter type of guy, like spot starter. He's a quality player. He's a quality.
He's quality backup that, you know, if you need to, he's one of those backups. Okay, like Borum. Here's the difference between, say, Borum and Pryor. Borum is good for a series or 2 or 3 throughout a game. If you just rotate him through in a game and maybe gets 3 or 4 series worth of play, he's actually not bad. But if you have to play him for a full game, he gets exposed, right? Pryor is not like that. Pryor, you could put him in for 3 games and you know you're going to be okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's been there, done that. You know, he's proven it.
And the other thing that we need to consider too, and we talked about Sunday, is the entire safety room is our free agents at the end of the season. The entire safety room.
The entire safety room. And, you know, like Byard, you know, he's going to be 32 this year, I think. And then Brisker, like you said, like, who knows if he's even going to play again? I can't rule that out. And if he does play, he's a hit away from retirement, honestly. So, yeah, safety's a need for sure. I just hope Woody's staying safe out there cruising those crazy Allentown streets right now.
I'm in Whitehall now, so Saquon Barkley is area. So,
yep.
I just came from Bethlehem.
Dude,
so I sold it. What's that?
Have that Army Navy store in Whitehall?
Yeah. That's where I used to go in the fitting room, put some clothes on, put my normal clothes on, and walk right out. But that was when I was a young kid. So, but yeah, that's still here in Whitehall. Yep. Absolutely. But like I was saying, I don't even think the Bears know what they're gonna fucking do. We're just guessing. So, but if like I said about the Komet and stuff like that, if Warren is there, you got to take him. Definitely. Genty, I'm not. If I hear something about fucking Genty again, I'm just gonna snap on somebody.
And let me know when you want me to start my Genty rant, please, because I'm gonna go off on that little.
It's just I rather take Hampton over him.
Oh,
he played in a better conference, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, I mean, you don't know. Vrabel too, New England. I was saying this on Sunday. He likes his running backs. They might pick an O lineman, or they might get Genty to, you know, him and Stevenson in New England as well. So we don't know.
In this game, look at the Giants signed Russ, right? The Giants.
Yeah, that's gonna mess. That. Yeah, and Winston.
Yeah, so they may for a running back.
They might take. Yeah. Genty, Hampton, Cowboys might have to trade up even further now to maybe either get Hampton or Genty, because I know their eyes were on Genty, and they have no running back really at all. So that believe it or not, that Russell Wilson signing stirs up that draft a lot.
Yeah, and Woody, what do you think about it? So like Saquon, you know, goes to the Beagles last season, right? They won the freaking Super Bowl. God damn, I can't believe I just said that, but I did. But regardless, it's like, you know, the Giants are, and their fans are so sore about that. It's like, you know, number 3, that they're not taking a quarterback. Like, they might be considering Genty. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
I hope they do, so he's off the board for the Bears.
Yeah, I mean,
Foles went today. Where did he go for the for pro day today?
They were in Ohio State today.
Yeah, he was at Ohio State, which kind of like lends me more towards what we were talking about Sunday with that receiver out.
I mean, there's literally like 10 players I'd be thrilled for the Bears. He's doing the Aaron Rodgers thing, Sarah. Woody's in a dark room for 3 days. And he's smoking the toad. He's smoking the toad.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, that's great.
I mean,
smoke this, bitch.
So I mean, with him going to Ohio State, you know, I don't know. I'm not sold on Jen. These guys on Bears Tech are just ranting and raving like it's Gentry or bust, and I'm like, why? He played for Boise frickin' State. He did. If you look at the games when he played against quality teams and in the playoffs, he disappeared.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I've watched a lot of film on him lately, and I keep going back to it to double check, just to kind of reassure myself about what my impressions were. And like the first thing I'm going to say is he cannot cut. He has no sharp cuts. I'm like, I've never seen a running back hit so many yards without the ability to make a sharp cut. And you know, the second thing is this guy tiptoes to the line of scrimmage. And then third, he wants to like run east to west, you know, behind the line of scrimmage, and just like rely on his pure, you know, athletic ability. Like he was completely like athletically superior to, you know, defenders in that conference. So he would just take it outside, wait for some doofus on defense to trip and fall over himself, and then he'd cut it up. And I'm like, that's not going to fly in the NFL. Like, that's not going to fly.
Like, I think, especially for you and I started talking more in depth about it. And if you guys are wondering, Woody had to go. He's at his dear old mom's house picking something up. When we started talking about other options like tight end and safety, and then when you know Sunday when we started looking at contracts and like where the Bears sit, not just, I mean, we know where they sit for this season for the starters, but post this year and looking what can help us in the short term, but also set us up for the long term success. And then we realized, holy crap, like in the tight end room, the only one under contract after this season is Cole Kmet. We look at the safety room, the only one under contract after this season is, oh, wait, no one.
Nobody. Literally 5 safeties on the roster right now, none of them under contract next year.
Yes, Sarah, you can. If you need, I'll send you the link on X.
Yeah, let's get Sarah on here.
Yeah. She might already have it. The same link for Sunday, Sarah. You've already got it. You should have it. I sent it to you on X on Sunday.
Look, I just did my smoking the toad thing in the chat.
Yeah, she's got it. Oh, wait, not the morning show. There. I just sent to your ex, Sarah. That's the House Hall link.
But again, if you go back and watch Gentry's film, I'm not exaggerating. He does not cut. Like, you know how like some running backs are like one cut. They call them one cut runners. One cut and they're downhill. You know, or they're in the open field and they just make a sharp cut. He doesn't do that ever. I haven't seen him do that once on film. It's insane.
Hey, look, it's the morning show, except I've replaced the Ken with a mic.
Hey, Sarah.
Howdy, guys.
Hey, Sarah.
I am biased, but what conference you play in matters a lot to me.
It certainly does.
I think it does. Yeah, well, it does. But I think there are some players, and I don't think Gentry's one of them, that while the conference matters, they're good enough to overcome that when they get to the NFL. But I don't think it's more, you know, a few running backs have done that, but that's mostly like a corner, or a shutdown corner could be a shutdown corner in any conference. It depends on the person. But in Gentry's case, you know, looking at what he says in the film and everything else, like Gentry's not that guy. Like you could like, you know, the whole thing like last year with Caleb. Like Woody didn't like Caleb because he played in a weaker conference. But quarterbacks are a little different. As long as they're not turning the ball over in any of the conferences, it doesn't really matter. If they got good ball security, they got good ball security. If they got a good arm, they got a good arm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump in.
Conference matters. But I think conference matters more when you're talking O-line, D-line. That's where it really matters. And with running backs, because it's O-line, D-line. For wide receivers, corners, quarterback, I think it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think quarterback might actually be the biggest, like, small conference position that succeeds in the NFL, surprisingly. I mean, you got Josh Allen. You know, you got, Joe Flacco went to Delaware. Fitzpatrick went to Harvard. You got, remember good old Steve McNair? Didn't he go to where did he go? Like Alcorn State or something like that? And you got, I think Gannon went to Delaware too. And then you had like Tony Romo went to Illinois State.
Yep, ISU baby.
Yeah, so I mean, surprisingly, quarterback. Even did I say Carson Wentz? I mean, he went to a small school. Not that he's
so. I have to talk about the wannabe now, that the retiree who looks like I don't know what's his facial hair. Yeah, he's kind of like, I wonder if he's registered with the local PD, for being an offender. The way he looks now with the new goatee, but he's is running back one in Chicago, and you aren't getting Genty. You know what? I think Broski and I would be like, good.
Yeah, I want him off the board by the time the Bears pick. I mean, it'll make my night a lot better, to tell you the truth. And then like Sarah's buddy, Jimmy Garoppolo, he went to Illinois State or Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all think we could trade up and get Travis Hunter?
I don't think so.
I mean, honestly, they could, but I don't think it's really worth it. Honestly, like the Bears are good at cornerback.
That corner, yeah, we're good. Big Ten, Big Ten. Look, that's the funny thing about conferences. You're right, Rob's right there. In the trenches, Big Ten guys do really well in the trenches. Guys from Penn State, UVI, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And then Iowa's tight end for the most part, right? They have been lately. No, the Big Ten produces some good players. The SEC produces good running backs, good corners, good safeties, good wide receivers. But the Big Ten puts out some good receivers as well. I mean, Ohio State is basically wide receiver these days. So, but it's not like UCLA, USC, and those schools. It's almost like they stopped getting the good players. Like they're still putting out decent players at quarterback, at wide receiver, but you're not seeing anything from those schools from the trenches. Their lines are all terrible out there.
Except for Oregon. Oregon's pumping some linemen into the league, and those schools are all Big Ten now, so they're going to reap the benefits of that, I think. I think they will kind of realize they have to build that up if they want to compete. And another thing I wanted to bring up, you mentioned tight end I think Penn State's actually going to challenge Iowa for that now. Penn State's got a lot of good tight ends in the NFL. I mean, they had Theo Johnson got drafted in the 4th round. Brenton Strange got drafted in the 2nd round. Mike Gesicki just signed a 3-year extension with the Bengals. Pat Freiermuth, I mean, he's a stud tight end on the Steelers, and you're going to have Tyler Warren. That's a pretty good lineup right there.
Well, we got 2 guys from Notre Dame on the Bears roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
I'm a Big Ten person too, Rob. I see Rob in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know, Damian, though. We were talking a little bit about his ability to play both ways in the NFL. Right?
I don't think you can. That's just asking to get hurt.
Yeah, and the preparation at corner. I mean, I think if he came in at tight end, it'd be more gadgety, like a gadget thing. I think
Damian and wide receiver.
I mean, it's like if I want a guy who can play multiple positions, I would just draft a certain tight end from what we were just talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say my you know how people love doing player comparisons for players in the draft, like they want to compare him to like a player currently in the league or a player who's been in the league. And I'm like, I really like that Mason Taylor kid from LSU. I think he reminds me of George Kittle. Like he literally reminds me of George Kittle. I think Loveland could be a stud. More of like a Gesicki type, just like strictly receiving tight end. And there's some other good tight ends too. But Warren, I'm like, he doesn't remind me of anyone. Then I'm like, well, let's get creative here. Let's, to me, he's like a hybrid, like a mix between Gronk, Ed McCaffrey, the wide receiver, and Mike Allstott. I'm like, you've never seen a player like that before. And that's pretty sick.
That's why I've really been digging on Warren since you brought it up. It's like he can fill the wide receiver 3 slot. He can fill a 2 tight end set slot. You can do a 3 tight end set slot. You can do a 3 tight end offense, but really it'd be a 2 tight end offense because he would actually play the wide receiver role. I mean, that just think of the defense.
He could be your all-line running back.
Yeah.
That's the thing about him. He can be your goal line runner. He jumps over the pile from like the 4-yard line.
I mean,
like, the dude is sick.
like if you're a defensive coordinator, you see him go out there with 2 other tight ends. You're like, okay, is this a traditional 3 tight end set, or is he a wide receiver, or is he running the ball, or wait, could he be throwing the ball even?
Yeah. He
I
played
mean,
quarterback in high school.
the kid is. I know Joe didn't like the comparison, but really, he's like, you know, I
Like
could see
literally, you take Gronk, you take Ed McCaffrey and Mike Allstott, and you merge them into one player, and that's Tyler Warren.
So
That's
the question is, do you think he'd be there at 10 when the Bears are picking?
There's a chance he's not. Like honestly, I think. Unfortunately, I actually think the Carolina Panthers might take him.
Yeah, and who knows the New York change, how that's going to change now.
You got to look at it like Bryce Young. He's not going to be throwing. He doesn't have the arm to push the ball downfield like that. So I mean, what you got to kind of cater to him. You know, I mean, they're stuck with him for a few.
Well, they might be looking for a receiver, even though Thielen's coming back.
Yeah, but they have Thielen. They have that rookie from last year, who was 2 rookies from last year who were actually decent. They need a tight end for Bryce to throw to. Honestly, man, he'd be really good for them. I hope it doesn't happen, but yeah, I hope he's there at 10. I mean, literally, like there's a bunch of players I would be thrilled with at 10, and Genty is not one of them.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And really, like, you know, Rob talking about the Vikings wide receiver 4 would be wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay, look at I mean, some little trash talk there. I mean, they don't have a number 1. They're like where we were a couple years ago with Mooney. Some Bears fans, oh, Mooney's a number 1. No, he's a good 2. Well, that's what Green Bay is. They've always done that. They've had a bunch of 2s, and once in a while they luck out with a 2nd or 3rd or 4th round pick with a guy who becomes their number 1. They're searching for that. Maybe this is the year they draft the number 1. I don't know.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too, because it's not in their DNA. But 10 is going to be interesting for the Bears, and even if you're going to go running back, there are better options out there, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Sarah, let's pretend you were a Bears fan. So, who would you want? Like, who are the top 2 players you would want at 10 if you were the Bears?
I don't follow college much, so I don't know much about the college players. But I think I would get Graham or Hampton.
Okay. I mean, there's a chance both of them could be there. I mean, at least one of the 2 for sure.
Because I mean, as a Vikings fan, I want us to get like a defensive tackle that's gonna like Kenneth Grant, who's gonna be on a rookie deal for like 5 years.
Love Kenneth Grant. Yeah. The Bears took Kenneth Grant at 10. I'd be thrilled. He's one of those guys. I'm like, I'd be thrilled. He's a monster. He's gonna be a stud.
And those are players that you want on a rookie deal that's gonna help your team build for the next 5 years. You know.
Yeah, especially a guy in the trenches. You know.
Another guy from Baylor, Micah Mazuka, offensive line from Baylor. Would y'all be interested in that?
You know, I don't really know about that guy. I'm gonna have to look him up. Damian, thanks for throwing that out there, man. I'll take a look at him.
You know, we draft these Baylor's like another one of those Ivy League schools. I mean,
don't you guys still need a left tackle too?
No, they're. I think they're committed with Jones. I look. I think he's serviceable. I think with Tooney there, he's better than serviceable. And with Tooney there, it elevates his game. Braxton, they're going to stay with Braxton for a couple reasons. Still on a rookie deal, and really, like in free agency, there was nothing out there that was an upgrade for him that we could get reasonable. Braxton's are pretty good. He was one of the tackles were the high spots on that offensive line. It was interior, which is what they addressed in free agency. That was the problem. So
I wouldn't call Braxton a highlight last year, but Darnell Wright, yeah.
I mean, but him and Darnell Wright, I know you don't like the PFF grades, but they grade very similar.
Yeah.
Braxton does have some issues, but Darnell has some issues. Their issues are different, but they're solid. I think Braxton's been pretty solid on the left tackle. Look at it, if the Bears didn't sign him, if the Bears released him, he'd be signed probably within 24 hours.
I mean, Sarah, the thing with Braxton is it's like a big ego thing for Poles. He really hangs his hat on the fact he found the left tackle from Southern Utah in the 5th round. Like, how often do you ever hear about a team drafting their starting left tackle in the 5th round from a school like Southern Utah? So he's gonna like see Braxton out through his whole contract. But yeah, I mean, Braxton missed 5 games last year, missed 6 games a year before, and gets a ton of penalties when he plays every season. Like, you could look up his penalty history. It's amazing. It's actually impressive.
But I think with Tooney there, I think it makes them better. Tooney's going to make them better.
Yeah, and plus they drafted Kieran then from Harvard. Sarah, think about this. They draft a left tackle from Southern Utah, then they draft a left tackle from Harvard. Harvard, right?
Yep.
I'm looking them up right now. I'll tell you.
Yeah. I'm like, that's Poles at his best.
So
by best, I mean worst.
So Kieran, and I'm not even going to try to say his last name, was Yale, actually. From Yale.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
But like last year, though, like the dude only took 123 snaps last year. His season grade was a 40.3. The bulk of the snaps he took was week 15 when he started at left tackle. He had 4 snaps in week 5, 5 snaps in week 6. He played actually a good chunk in week 8, 4 snaps in week 14, and then after week 15 he was done. 123 O-line snaps, 15 snaps for field goal, extra point. So that was Kieran. He really didn't do much. Now Braxton, though, so in his 3 years, his PFF grades are interesting. 75.4 as a rookie, 68.8 his sophomore year. He fell back. And last year he was at a 77.4, so a career best. 21st out of 81 eligible tackles in the league was where he ranked, per PFF. He's good on the pass block, 17th in the league of 80.8. But his run block, and this is probably where Broski has the most problem with him, 70.2, 30th out of 72. So he's not terrible, but at the same time, I don't know where you get an upgrade for him now. Health-wise, yeah, he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In week 8, he only had 18 snaps. Yeah, he was out week 15, and week 7.
Yeah, but that's like the guy that protects your quarterback. You want him to be in the top 10, not like in the top 20.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, you can't get everyone in the top 10. That's the problem. There's 32 teams, and you're talking 80 guys. If you're in the top 20, you're still in that top percentile.
Yeah, but most top 10 tackles, they're drafted in the first round, is what my point is.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing though. He's ranked 21st of 81 is what he's ranked. Darnell Wright is ranked 16th of 81.
And Darnell Wright plays every week, unlike Braxton, who misses games. I mean, the injury thing with him is a real concern. But I'm not trying to dwell on Braxton. We'll see how it plays out. But Ken, like you said, the only way the Bears are going to really try to upgrade at left tackle at this point is if they draft one in the 1st or 2nd round. And
I mean, you've also got Theo Bennett, who was injured last year. They had high hopes for. Who was a rookie last year, got injured, and they kept him on the practice squad. Then you got Kieran, and then you got Joshua Miles, who's been around since 2019.
Yeah.
Hasn't done anything. In fact, he didn't even get a snap last year. So we're pretty weak at the tackle position. At the guard position, it's a little bit better. You've got Bill Murray's a backup, Doug Kramer's a backup. Then you got Tooney, Jonah Jackson.
Got Ryan Bates.
Bates is still there. Jordan McFadden, and then you've got Ricky Stromberg, who is a practice squad guy, came in the league at 23. It's a little bit better. And then for center right now, you've got Dahlman, Chris Lassner, who had 1 snap last year, and that's it. And then of course Cole Kmet, who has more snaps than Chris Lassner did last year. So, that was that long snapper though. But I mean, so yeah, they probably would benefit at some point in this draft. Hey, good evening, Shane. Bear down. They would definitely we would benefit by taking a left tackle at some point, another tackle in general. Doesn't even have to be a left tackle.
No, I agree. I agree with that big time.
I would still look in the second or third round for a tackle, because of Braxton's injury history than anything else.
Hey, Damien. Jenkins signed with the Browns. He's gone.
Yeah, Tevin's gone, man. He's with the Browns. How much was his contract?
It was like a 1 year, like $4 million or something. Let me look that up really quick.
That's super cheap.
Let's see what Mr. Tevin Jenkins got here. What did he get? Oh wow. Yeah, 1 year, $3 million.
Like, I would have re-signed him in Chicago for that. Be a backup.
Not me. I'm glad he's gone. Peace out, buddy.
As a backup, though, Broski. As a backup.
Don't want him on the roster. I don't need him contaminating our new era of Bears football.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yep. But,
yeah, there have been some minor moves. Like, a lot of people didn't even realize that New England signed a new wide receiver yesterday.
Oh, yeah, they did.
First year.
They gave Diggs some money.
What was that, Sarah?
I said he'll behave his first year.
Yeah, Diggs got a nice contract from them.
Tell you what, Vrabel's not going to put up with his nonsense.
Well, I'm still wondering what's going to happen with Keenan, if he's going to retire or if he's going to end up in one of the LAs or here. No, Tyreek. Okay, so Damien now goes. Can Tyreek Stevens go ASAP? No, because let me tell you why. First off, Tyreek, this is his now third year in the league, right?
Yep. Yeah, this will be year 3. Yep.
This is year 3, man. I mean,
well,
and he's actually
Al Harris is already working with Tyreek Stevens. So the second they hired Al Harris is the what is he, like the? I think he's like the defensive passing game coordinator / like. I think he's actually like the / D-back coach or something, secondary coach or something. But like Tyreek Stevenson already went to some kind of like, I don't even know what you call it. It's not like anger management. It's like a
some kind of behavioral health thing.
Yeah, it was some kind of behavioral health like camp or something. He went to like right away, and he's really supposedly taken Tyreek under his wing, which I like because Tyreek Stevenson has a ton of potential.
Tons of potential, and look at the cornerback room is good. Obviously, we got Jalen, we got Kyler Gordon, then you've got Blackwell, Stevenson, Terrell Smith, and Nick McLeod. I mean, Nick McLeod is a practice squad guy. He got quite a few snaps last year, 224 snaps. So I really wouldn't say that. He played more than Blackwell, believe it or not. I mean, but all those guys got playing time last year.
Yeah.
They all.
Sorry. I was just going to. Eberflus wasn't really an alpha kind of coach, too. So he didn't really exude like any kind of personality where Stevenson felt he could do whatever and not have any ramifications.
Well, and now with Green there, you've got a DC who's who's more alpha.
Like if he was on the Vikings, Flores would have, rip him and
a new one,
ripped him right on the spot there. But Eberflus isn't like that.
Yeah, that's what I used to call Eberflush. I used to say he reminds me of like a summer camp counselor for blind kids. Like he's not going to discipline anybody.
I mean, I compared him to Phil Jackson last year. He was kind of like a zen, because even with like his whole persona was like so zen. That's why I was comparing him to Phil Jackson last year. You're like, unfortunately, unlike Phil Jackson, he didn't have his Buck Winters. He didn't have that OC who was just a genius, or Tex Winters. He didn't have his Tex Winters genius OC and a guy to put it in line. So the Zen didn't work because he didn't have that other half.
Yeah, there was a lot not working for Eberflush last year, including his coaching staff. Like that was amazing. Like It's just
Now you
amazing.
can be a Zen Meister head coach as long as you have a strong. If you're a defensive guy like Flus, you got to have a strong OC, and then you got to have another guy on your staff who's the ass kicker who's like the sergeant at arms, right? Who's going to keep people aligned. And they didn't have that in Chicago. It just everyone was too nicey feely touchy, and even the players like, dude, hold us more accountable.
Yeah, the players actually came out halfway through the year and were like, "We want to be held more accountable." I mean, I've never heard that happen ever. Like that's something else.
Oh, we lost Mike.
Special moments.
So no, I think Tyreek Stevenson's got a future in Chicago. I like him. He's made look at if people go, oh, the Washington game. He was the guy who the only guy who was able to make a play on that ball, and he did. He gets a half-inch higher, not even maybe that much, maybe a quarter inch more to his vertical. That he deflects that pass down and not up, and he's the reason they went. They that play failed. But like everything else, this game is a game of millimeters. And unfortunately, the tip went up and over the pile's head, and the guy just happened to be standing there, and the whole stadium was shocked.
Since we're playing the NFC East, are you guys playing Washington at home or in Washington this year?
That's a good question. We are playing the NFC East. I'm not sure which teams are home and which are away.
I know we play Washington at home.
Yeah, hold on. I might have it. I won't have the schedule. The schedule's not out. But
that game was very painful to me. That was on my birthday.
Oh, it's in D.C. It's in D.C. again. So I was like, hey, man, I should go. Yeah. So our away games besides the division, we play in Philly, we play in Washington, then we play in Baltimore, Cincy, San Fran, and Vegas. Our home games outside of the division are Dallas, the Giants, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Saints.
I actually had a relative who played for the Skins. He played under Gibbs in the 80s.
My dad was a Skin. HCR. You look at the Bears' home schedule. I mean, who knows what Dallas is going to be, but New York doesn't scare me. Cleveland doesn't scare me. Pittsburgh, I don't know what they are right now. And the Saints are a hot mess. You look at our road schedule, though, the Commanders overachieved last year. Obviously, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl. The Ravens are damn good. The Bengals are damn good. And then the 49ers are a question mark in a way, and the Raiders are kind of a question.
I read a report that the Niners are going to pay Brock between 50 to 55, so they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, they're still trying to move off their last good receiver pretty much. I mean, that's a team that's in some cap flux, and we'll see how good they are. They've lost some defensive pieces, some offensive pieces to free agency because they've been strapped. I mean, a fifth rounder for Debo is kind of a joke to me. And the Raiders, now they got a quarterback, they got Pete Carroll, they got a decent receiver, a good tight end. They still have Max Crosby. They're an interesting team. I don't know if they got some guys coming off injury. They're going to be an interesting team when we play them, or they could be. But yeah, we're at DC, so I'm trying to figure out where Week 3 is going to be. I'm hoping it's a home game. Week 3 is a home game for Chicago. I'll be at.
The Raiders kind of remind me of the Bears of the AFC. Like they get a lot of off-season hype every year, and they never live up to it.
Well, last year
they really do. And the last time they won anything was in the 80s. It's like honestly, we might as well just call them the Bears of the AFC.
Well, there's always been a symbiotic thing with Bears fans. Like growing up in Chicago, a lot of people I grew up with in the Chicago area, if you ask them who their favorite team in the AFC is, 90% would say the Raiders. There's always been that symbiosis between. It's kind of like with Cubs fans and Red Sox fans. The same thing with Bears and Raiders fans. Like there's some weird brotherhood that. I know a lot of Bears fans who like the Raiders. If you ask me, hey, who's your AFC team? 90% of them will say the Raiders.
There's this apartment I drive by all the time, and it's so yucky. It hangs all this bear stuff on its porch, and I'm just like, ew.
That's a good house right there.
That's awesome. I mean, it increases the value of the property.
I mean, Sarah, you should be happy they've increased your property value.
No, it's not by where I live. It's by my friend's place.
Well, then it increased your friends' property.
You know the neighborhood you should move to then.
Yeah.
No way. It's so gross.
Yeah, I don't see many Vikings fans down here. I see some Packer fans. I see, of course, I get a lot of NOLA fans. I'm only 3 hours from NOLA, and we're in their region. There are lots of Bears fans. Damien says Bears are the White Sox of the NFL. No, I would say we're more like the Cubs of the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not like the White Sox. Sorry, we don't stab umpires or referees.
We don't bring firearms to games, and we don't stab umpires.
You know, we're a little bit better than that.
No fan base is as worse as the Eagles, though. To me, I hate Eagles fans.
Oh, I know all about that. I mean,
Bears fans are very pessimistic in nature. Like,
yeah, but they're not like violent like Eagles fans.
Yeah,
but we're very. Sarah, if you want to see it, like, go hit up Bears Twitter. I mean, there's a lot of negativity there at times. You're like, whoa, like, wait, things are going good, and they're like, the end of the world is now. It's like, yeah, very negative. We're a very pessimistic fan base overall.
Yeah, I grew up in the Philly area for like most of my growing up, over 20 years, and yeah, the stories I have about Eagles fans and what they do at games. I mean, I've been to a number of Eagles games, and like I tell people, they don't believe me that Lincoln Financial Field has a holding cell and actually a magistrate there.
Speaking of that, there's a new documentary special. I think it's on Netflix or Amazon. It's on one of them. They're doing that with the Cleveland Browns. Like when with the amount of security personnel they have in each game.
Browns fans are probably the number 2 most violent.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, my dad told me stories because he's a Steelers fan. Him and my grandpa went to a game there, and they saw like an old lady Steelers fan get stabbed. Old lady get stabbed. Yeah, and Eagles fans. I tell people they treat it like gang warfare. Like it's literally like you have the opposing team's colors. It's like you have the opposing gang's colors on.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if Woody survives this trip to Lincoln Financial this year. He's going. Another fan base rivalry, that's more for the rivalry in general, is, man, you do not put Niners and Raiders fans in the same room. Someone is going out on a stretcher.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say Niners fans are
they
get fucking stupid too.
But there was a couple years back, it was a preseason game, Niners Raiders, and a guy was actually killed.
I mean, in Philly, there was someone who got shot out, like a fan who shot another fan outside of a Phillies game before.
Yeah, Damien, though, they don't put fans of the opposing team through tables like it's WWE. They do it to themselves. Like Bill's Mafia, I've never heard anything bad about Bill's Mafia. Like they're very welcoming to opposing fans, like partying with them at tailgates. They put themselves through tables. I'll tell you, I got to go to Washington though this last year. You want to talk about a very good fan base, the Commanders fan base. I hit up Billy, defense Flores. I hit him up like the night before, said, "Hey, where can I go tailgate tomorrow? I'm going to be in DC for the game." And he hits me up with the Commanders tailgate folks, Commanders Corner, and they treated us like we were family. We went to the stadium, and they have this whole USO thing for veterans and retirees and that. Once again, treated us like we were family. We had seats that were down like 7 rows off the end zone. Season ticket holders all around me. Once again, they treated us great. Commanders fans were awesome. I can say nothing bad about Commanders fans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that franchise at all. And I went to games at RFK back in the day. I saw it when Dion was a cornerback on the Falcons and Art Monk was playing receiver for the Skins. So that was a pretty cool matchup.
I actually have an Art Monk helmet. Yeah, I mean they're a good fan base to go to a game to see. Carolina was good. I've been to a couple games when the Bears played the Panthers. Miami's fine because like every other Florida team, there's so many transplants here. It ends up being at least a 50-50 crowd or better. Like when I go see the Cubs play the Marlins, there's like 80% Cubs fans.
Oh,
in my
you go see any team in Charlotte playing the Panthers, there's going to be more fans of the opposing team.
So, it's gonna be the scheduling's gonna be interesting. We'll see who gets. That should come out in about 6 weeks, probably, when the schedule will drop. Really, it's gonna be interesting to see what other impacts we have to this draft. I mean, the signings yesterday in New England and New York definitely impacted the draft for a couple teams, maybe. Especially with New York, because they're not taking a quarterback now that early. They're going to be either trading out or they're going to be taking a tight end or a receiver.
I think they're still taking a quarterback because Russell is only signed for 1 year.
Yeah, but I think they're more or less hoping that they suck and they can go get Manning next year.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it really will.
It's weird because Winston, it was 2 years, $8 million. They can cut him and whatever. I don't think any of it was guaranteed.
I'll tell you what. No, go ahead.
Oh, but they love DeVito. They want to keep DeVito and have him be the third option. So if anyone's going to go, it's going to be Winston. Go ahead, Broski.
No, I was going to say all I'm really concerned about is are the teams picking ahead of the Bears, like teams who could possibly draft Genty. That's really all I'm concerned about right now.
There better be.
Maybe the Raiders.
Like I just want him off the board by 10. Like, please Giants, please Raiders, please Jets.
Here's the problem for the Giants. If they take Shedeur Sanders, where are they, 2 or 3, right? If they take him, the fan base wants him to start right away. I don't care if Russell Wilson's there. Because the expectation is if you're a top 10 quarterback, you start in year 1. That's the expectation. Especially if you're a top 5.
Yeah, but I don't think Shedeur is ready to start.
Well, but it's not even like if you take a quarterback at number 3, the expectation is you're NFL ready to start week 1. And with them just signing Russ, why would they do that? Why would they sign Russ if they're going to draft a quarterback at 3?
Yeah,
and there's going to a lot of sports, Shadeur's going to fall out of the top 10 even.
I mean, you might as well treat him like a small school quarterback. I mean, he played at Colorado in the Big 12, and yeah, I mean, big learning curve for him in the NFL. That's all I can say. Big learning curve.
I don't think they're taking a quarterback. I think they're going to take a different position. Maybe they're going to look at defensive edge or their defense.
I agree. I don't even think they take a flyer on a quarterback in the 6th round. Like I think they're out on quarterback this year. I'm going to keep saying that too. So they draft Genty.
That's going to change the draft. Look at this is not a good quarterback draft. And most of the teams filled their needs via free agency. The Jets did it. The Raiders did it. I mean, who really needs a quarterback still?
The Titans.
Yeah. So they're going to draft one of the 2. After that, it's really hard to point your finger and say, yeah, they need a quarterback today. I mean, I think 2nd, 3rd round, you might see the Saints draft a quarterback and maybe try to get rid of Carr after the year and shed that massive contract. I mean, another team that could be a wild card, like I said this morning, is the Colts, because Richardson really hasn't worked for them.
Oh,
yeah.
The Steelers too.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it was over before it started with the Colts and AR. I mean, I knew that guy wasn't going to make it in the NFL.
I am so glad we did not draft him.
Yeah.
And then you still got Rodgers, and you still got, because he's going to get a trade, Atlanta looks like they're going to trade him post-draft, though, Kirk Cousins. So, hey, good evening, Cam. They're not moving on from Tua. They just paid Tua. Tua got a massive contract. As long as that dude can play, they're playing him. It'd be more like Kyler Murray be a guy I'd think about, like, in Arizona. Is like, really, how attached are they going to be to Kyler Murray after this season?
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. That's a good call. They've been trying to – it seems like they've been trying to trade him the last couple seasons, and no one's taken them up on it. So, yeah, they could draft a quarterback.
I mean, but once again, though, they're not – I mean, well, they're back. Where are they at? They're not – They're
16. They're 16.
Yeah, so they could get a quarterback at that point. Now he could not be expected to start.
Mhm.
There might be some pressure from the fans to start him if the season doesn't start well. But
I don't know.
Davis,
I think he's kind of reached his ceiling.
who?
Murray.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the season's not going well, if you draft him a quarterback at 15, and the fans will want him to play now. But like, if you could get if you were back at say 25, 26, you got a quarterback, you could still say no. We have to run Murray out there for the year. He's not ready, and fans will be like, oh, I have more hesitantly, probably okay with it. Cam might be able to tell us he's out there in the valley of the sun, what the feel is out there on Murray, but. If you draft, look at Love, he was drafted, 28th, 29th? The impetus, of course, Rodgers was there, but it was like, oh my God, the guy's got to start right away. You take a guy at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round, it's not expected that he starts even this year. But if you take a guy at 4, 5, 6, 9, there's an expectation that he's going to start at some point in the season, if not right away.
Or I think the Giants might trade back into the first round and take a late, Jackson Dart late in the first round.
That would make sense. Like maybe with the Steelers, if the Steelers would say, here's a situation. Let's say if Aaron Rodgers ends up in Minnesota, well, shit. What? I mean, they're ass out in Pittsburgh, and they pick so far back. The only thing they can do is trade up and hope they get a quarterback, or trade for Kirk Cousins. Which one's going to cost you more? Probably you're better off drafting a young kid you're going to have for 5 years versus trading for Cousins. So that could be a scenario where they try to move up, especially if they don't get Aaron Rodgers. I think they're banking on Aaron Rodgers right now. But if Rodgers goes, no, I'm going to go to Minnesota, there's all those ironies, we get it. They're moving up to get a quarterback.
Yeah, but Rodgers is not going to know that he's going to come to Minnesota until late August.
No, not necessarily. I mean, we see what we see in the reports, but the team knows better than us. They'll know, they have a better pulse on where JJ's at, but Rodgers may be saying, hey, look, you have to let me know the next week or two, I'm just going to go sign with Pittsburgh. So
Quincy already said that at his press conference today.
I didn't see the press conference today, but I don't put much thought in what these guys say in press conferences either at this time of year.
Yeah,
we're not going to draft a running back, and they draft a running back. You know what I mean?
I don't know what the Steelers are thinking right now. I mean, they have Mason Rudolph, who's the only quarterback, and they're totally showing their hand. They're in desperation mode, which is not a good way to bargain.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sarah.
No, I was just saying it was dumb of them to trade for DK without having a quarterback resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that last terrible take of the evening, we have to, because we're out of time, it's a great way to end the show, because you're right, they should have made the trade for DK without a quarterback. We're out of time. We'll be back Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Central, noon in the East. And don't forget, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central, 11 in the East, 10 in the morning. Thank you, Broski. Thank you, Sarah, for being on. Thank you, Mike and Woody, for being here. And everyone in the comments, everyone have a safe night. We will see you on Sunday or tomorrow morning. Bear down.
Bear down.
Go Bears!